Good morning, my name is Eric Dillner, and I'm the CEO of the Shoreline Arts Alliance. Thanks for joining us today. We are introducing a wonderful program to you, which is called ArtNet90. It's an opportunity that Shoreline Arts Alliance has created for artists, arts organizations, those who just love art, can come together and find out about what each other is doing throughout the community. The Shoreline Arts Alliance, as you know, has programs that are statewide, but this one focuses on kind of our 24-town region, which is from the New Haven area up through Lyme, Old Lyme, and into the Middlesex County region, all the way up through Middletown, Cromwell, Portland, that area. We meet in various places around that community every other month so that we can basically help those folks do what they do best. Learn from each other, learn about the kinds of work that they're doing in the community that they're in, and maybe find ways that they can collaborate. So Shoreline Arts Alliance is always there to try to find a way to help people do their job and to get people connected with those who are doing a wonderful offering in the arts community. My name's Eric Dillner. I'm the CEO of the Shoreline Arts Alliance. Thank you all for being here. If folks straggle in, fine. We'll just join them, have them join us. I think most of you know what we're here to do today, but let me remind you, ArtNet90 is arts networking for 90 minutes. So the idea here is that we make connections with each other. We find ways of helping each other in doing what we're doing, or maybe even find collaborations that will help us to move the process forward. We all get 30 seconds to tell a little bit about ourselves right now. So get ready. Get your minds going. Emily from the Shoreline Arts Alliance, this is Emily.
Hello.
She's going to make a little buzzing sound, and that's your time. You're done. You can stop before that, but we really want you to stop there because we have lots to do today. Yeah, Candy, we always got to keep a lot up. So the goal, though, is to really quickly tell us all about who you are so that we can all think in our head the rest of the meeting, what can I talk to that person about at the end? Or maybe give them a call, okay? We would love all your business cards, so make sure we'll get something passed around. We want to make sure that everybody's name who's here today is in one bucket, and we'll send them out to you in the next couple of days, okay? So we'll send that around. And then we have a couple of special speakers, as well as the state of Connecticut is here today to help listen and hear and take more back to Hartford and then around the state to tell about the good things we're doing here. So, and you might notice there's a fabulous camera walking around the room. This is the Guilford television station, community television station, and they're filming, and it'll be broadcast on the public broadcast later after she does some really great work. So, all right, so here we go. Ready? 30 seconds for everybody. So, Brianna, how about you start?
I thought I had more time to prepare. Okay, my name is Brianna Ben-Morandi, and I am a licensed professional counselor and art therapist. I practice right here out of Madison. I see individuals of all ages, from children as young as 5 to centenarians, working with all ranges of diagnoses, including autism, teen angst, not an official diagnosis, and life direction and career counseling. So business is going well, and we do it with using art as part of our therapeutic process and creative counseling.
I'm Donna Leek. I'm the Director of Campus Life at Lyme Academy College of Art, and we are having an art show at the Essex Art Gallery this weekend. I invite you all to attend. The students plan the show, have their work there, and are very excited to see anybody.
My name is Kate Ford, and I'm the General Director of Opera Theater of Connecticut, a Clinton-based opera company. This is our 33rd year. We just finished producing Tosca, and then we'll be doing Elixir of Love coming up. We do a spring show, which is a little bit more sort of experimental and funky. And then we do a lot of concertizing around. In March, we'll be in Sanibel at the Sanibel Music Festival, doing an evening of songtime and star-crossed lovers of opera.
Hi, I'm Lisa Reardon. I'm the director of the Eastern Connecticut Ballet located in East Lyme. It's a school of about 300 students, and they come all the way from New Haven, well, all over the state actually. Anyway, this is our Nutcracker that's going to be happening at the Gard Arts Center the 2nd, December 8th and 9th, with the incomparable Sarah Mearns from New York City Ballet joining us again, and brand new scenery that was designed by an artist down at the Yale School, and it's being built there, at the Yale School, Yale University.
Hi, I'm Laura Vescovi. I'm the Public Relations Manager at Eastern Connecticut Ballet. I'm here with Lise today. I wanted to share with you this weekend at the Cape, we have Ballet Spectacular going on, the 13th and 14th. It is a wonderful production. Eastern Connecticut Ballet puts on 3 ballets for children, the Halloween Waltz, Sorcerer's Apprentice, and the Dancing Bones. Children get to dress up, parade through the theater, trick or treat, take pictures with the dancers. It's a wonderful event for families.
I'm Steve Copps. I'm a board member of the Shoreline Arts Alliance. I'm here to really listen, see how we can help you. My background is officially theater studies in college, but it really was TV, film, and theater. So I've been involved in the arts for a long, long time.
My name is Brown Gillespie. I'm also on the board of the Shoreline Arts Alliance. And I work with Light as an artist, and found out yesterday that there's a show that I was asked to help Light in Guilford with the composer and conductor Chad Harden, world premiere Saturday night, and found out that he was able to get this all going with a grant that we helped him get, and that the Shoreline Arts also helped him with the marketing. So we do more than I didn't even know about it until last week.
Hi, I'm Chloe Carlson. I'm the director of Gusto Dance. I'm based in Old Saybrook, and I love collaborating, and I want to thank the Shoreline Arts Alliance for facilitating my collaboration with Lyme Art Association and the Studio 80 and Sculpture Grounds. I have a Saturday morning intermediate advanced contemporary modern dance class in Old Saybrook, and I'm performing with Elm City Dance Collective on November 17th in New Haven, the Whaley Theater. Can I go over here and be my other self? Thank you. Hi, I'm Chloe Carlson. I'm the president of the board of David Dorfman Dance, the resident dance company at Connecticut College. We are doing a pop-up performance at the Whale Tail outside of the train station downtown New London next Friday, October 19th at 6. Obviously, it's public art. We would love to have as many people come as possible. And then we're walking across the street to a wine tasting at the Thames River Greenery. And obviously, it's free. Thank you. Thank you, Shoreline Arts Alliance.
I'm Martin Nadell. I'm chairperson of the Robbie Collmore Music Series. I'll be speaking a little bit later, but we've left some things in the back for you. This is our current season, the mailer, and I've left some of the programs, and if you take a program and open to the centerfold, you will see all the performers that we've had in the last 45 years, and it's a very distinguished list.
Hi, I'm Julia Faraci from the Middletown Commission on the Arts, and we advocate for and fund arts in Middletown, and you can like our page on Facebook. I should have remembered it, but I believe that it's City Arts Office Middletown, but if you Google that, you'll come to the Facebook page and you can like it and find out about all our events. Thank you.
I'm Andrea Aaron. I'm a member of the Connecticut River Artisans Cooperative in Essex. It's a not-for-profit. We have about 15 full-time craftspeople and about 20 consigning artists. I make jewelry and have been a member of the cooperative about 35 years ago when they were first starting it, and had to leave, and now I retired from teaching, so I'm back and I love it.
My name is Sharon Canosa, and I've been enjoying the Shoreline Arts Alliance and their works for many years without really getting involved. And so I would like to get a little more involved. by doing what I can, although I am extending myself over. I just, thanks to Rosemary, who I saw differently in the art gallery. I don't know if you had your hair different or what, but
Probably.
I said the picture that the painting that I bought from my art teacher, I swear was different than the one she gave me. So my psychiatrist just decided to give me more medication. To help me with that. And it's working. So I hope to bing bing.
My name is Paul Battles. I'm a music therapist here in Madison, right up the street at Artistic Healings. As a music therapist, I use music as a form of communication as well as an artistic expression as well, depending on the client and their needs. I work with a number of different clients, different ages, from 10 years old to 50 years old. Autism spectrum disorder, bipolar disorder, depression, whatever needs that the client has.
Hi, I'm Noah Behrman. I'm a musician and the artistic director of Resonant Motion, a Middletown-based nonprofit. I'm very grateful to the Connecticut Office of the Arts. I've had a lucky year this year. RMI just got a Reggie grant for our 2019 Jazz Up Close series, and earlier this year I got an Artist Fellowship Award. I also just recently got the Guilford Performing Arts Festival Artist Award for next year's festival, which I found out about by networking at Connecticut Arts Day this spring. So, yay, Connecticut Arts. And my question is, what can we all do, what should we all be doing to advocate for the state to continue supporting and funding the arts?
Good morning, Lori Cartwright from Goodspeed Musicals. Our current production at the Opera House is The Drowsy Chaperone, running through November 25th. Very funny show. And then after that, we have a Connecticut Christmas Carol at the Terrace Theater in Chester, which features Mark Twain, William Gillette, several other Connecticut historical figures. Thanks.
I'm Sarah Drought Neville, and I'm a gallery assistant at Lime Art Association, and also at my own Treefort studio and gallery. And I teach, and I'm a calligrapher and a painter. And I'm about to do a Kickstarter to launch my Anything is Possible movement, which is very exciting. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maureen Belden. I'm the Executive Director at Guilford Arts Center. We're also very grateful to the Office of the Arts for funding our Arts in Place grant. I think we're all very grateful for the support you give for the arts. I would second your question. I think that's the most important question we get asked today. And at the Arts Center, we're gearing up for our holiday sale, which is a big fundraiser for the Arts Center, but also features close to 200 artists in our shop and gallery with handmade works, crafts, and art. I encourage everyone to visit us. We're open November through early January.
Hi, I'm Liz Shapiro. I'm the Interim Director of Culture for the state of Connecticut, and my other hat is as the Director of Operations for Museums and Historic Preservation. So we'll be talking to you a little bit later, but I want to put in my pitch now since we're in this area. One of our museums is the Henry Whitfield Museum in Guilford, and that museum is really anxious to take part in Make Music Day this year. And it's really interested in getting involved with people who are working in the creative arts because we'd like to really dovetail our programs.
Great.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Bonnie Kova. I'm the Arts and Education Manager at the Office of the Arts, and happy to be here and hear about all the great work that you're doing. And we'll get to your questions after everybody gets a chance to introduce themselves. But thanks, Eric, for inviting us today.
Oh, our pleasure.
Are we ready? My name is Candy Carl. I'm the Producing Artistic Director of the East Hampton Stage Company, which is the resident theater company at Gillette Castle State Park. Woo! And we just celebrated our 10th summer season this last summer, and it was really fabulous. And thanks to a Connecticut Office of the Arts Reggie grant on September 22nd at Gillette Castle, after 4 years of research and lots of blood, sweat, and tears, we opened Osaki-san, William Gillette's Gentleman Ballad, about his Japanese ballet, Yukataka Osaki, and it's now available for touring. And my question to the Office of the Arts is one of the reasons why I was able to get this started and get it out into the world, and it's available for touring, is because the Reggie Grant allowed artists as individuals to actually apply. And I'm really hoping that that's something that continues, because some of us are so small we don't have a not-for-profit entity or foundation or any of those things. So having an independent artist able to apply for a grant is stellar, and it's this man's story that is now getting out there because of that Reggie Grant. And I wouldn't be able to apply for it had it not been for that opportunity as an individual artist. So I really want that to stay around for all the other individual artists who would like to do things like that.
Good morning, Tyja Anderson. I am from Congressman Jill Courtney's office. Glad to be here in Madison today. So thanks so much. I'm Tamara Dimitri with the Connecticut Office of the Arts, and I oversee the Artist Fellowship Program that was able to award the grant to NOAA. So it's great to see you here today. I also oversee and work with public art. I'm the accessibility coordinator, and I oversee a project grant program and lots of other things that we all wear many hats in our small little office.
My name is Carolyn Herrick. I live in Guilford. I recently joined the board of the Shoreline Arts Alliance. I'm here to listen. I'm glad to be here. I'm a docent at the Metropolitan Museum. I also, many years ago, served on the board of the Historical Society in Sharon when Liz Shapiro was the director. So it's good to see her.
That's great, yes.
Hi, I'm Joyce DeLauro, Starship Dance Theater. We're a nonprofit entity, so thank you for grants that we've gotten. We are doing our, I lose track, 27th, 28th production of The Magic Toy Shop, of which I'm in. I played the shopkeeper's assistant, the nail roll. And I would love to, I'm from Guilford, get involved with the museum.
And I thought of a question.
You did? Okay, we'll get you.
After.
I'm Mary Streep. I'm chairman of the board for Madison Lyric Stage. And about 3 lifetimes ago, I was president of the board of the Shoreline Alliance. So it's good to be here and good to see all of you.
Good morning. I'm Adrienne Jefferson. I'm one of the arts program managers at the Connecticut Office of the Arts, and I'm glad to be here today. I don't know that there's a lot in the way of grants for the healing therapies, such as art therapy and music therapy, but I know that Paul and I would love to know if the Office of the Arts could lend any help up in Hartford getting licensure for master's level clinicians who don't have licensure for their creative therapies the same way that social workers and marriage and family therapists do. And additionally, we would love to know if the Office of the Arts might be able to help us be able to accept Medicare, because currently we can see any kind of clinician unless you're older and have any sort of money. We can see you if you're very poor and also on Medicaid, but we can't see you if you're old and doing in any way financially well. Thank you.
I'm Barbara Arafat from Middletown. I'm on the Arts Commission. We have the Middletown Commission on the Arts. I'm chair of the Music Committee. And I'm also the director of the Middle Tuners, a senior chorus in Middletown. But today I am putting forth what I'm president of, which is the Greater Middletown Concert Association, and we're going into our 50th year of presenting 5 concerts for 50 years, not missing a year. How about that, everybody?
Mark, come on up here. This is Mark Deaton. Thank you for hosting us today.
Thank you for having me.
Mark is, well, I gotta tell you a little story. I've known Mark for, should I say how many years?
As long as we were 11.
Yeah. Probably 30-something years.
And we were 11.
Yeah.
Well, I was 11.
Yeah, so we are both operatic tenors.
Yeah.
He really is. I'm not anymore. But we knew each other in the opera world all over the world. So that's kind of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we happen to live in the same town now. Man.
And we like each other. Okay, you got me back to the 11.
Okay, so Mark is the everything of Madison Lyric Stage, created a fantastic company. He's going to tell you all about it. He has a fabulous barn right down the street. He's performing this wonderful, lovely space and does many other things. So anyway, you got your...
Thank you. First, I just want to thank the Shoreline Arts Alliance for having us host this event. Shoreline Arts Alliance and Eric and everyone involved has been really, really terrific to our little baby company as it evolved from just doing concerts in my house because people just still wanted to hear me sing. And it's just been terrific, and so anything that we can do to be involved with them, we always jump at it. They've been so helpful at figuring out how to sculpt a company and develop it in this area and get to know the area. Essentially, Madison Lyric Stage is a nonprofit 501c3 organization, thank goodness now. And we are finishing our 7th season, which is unbelievable to me, because I feel like we just did it about a year ago. It's also, I have to tell you, it's strange, because over the last couple of weeks, I've been in here singing Britain to people sitting all around like this. So if I start, just say, no, that's next week. Madison Lyric Stage started out as just a small group of friends because of a 35-year opera career. I have a lot of friends in the industry who I can bribe into coming in to and singing a few songs, and so we would have a few people in our barn or in the house, and then it kind of grew, and then it grew, and then it grew, and then the town said no, and we're working on that. But it's been a tremendous journey thus far, and we're having such a good time. We produce all genres that are interesting to me, and that is we do straight plays, we do musical theater, we do opera, we do concerts, and we try and do them all in one season. The other aspect of our theater that I think is unique to us in this area is that we're very interested in immersive and interactive theater. So currently we're doing Benjamin Britten's The Turn of the Screw, an opera that I've now done 17 productions of. This is the first time directing it. I'm in it, but directing it, but I've sung it 16 other times, and always on a very large stage with 2,000 or 3,000 people. That's not for me, is it? No. I was going to say no. Anyway, but to be able to put it into an immersive space, what we like to do is take pieces that are normally thought of as large and grand and somewhat elitist, and we strip them down and show their real human full elements. We just want to do them in a different way than they've been done before, which is, of course, I'm not alone in this, a lot of people are doing this, creating new vantage points and visions for the piece that we may be used to seeing in a specific way. And in the barn, we've done everything from Peter Grimes to Salome to the Glass Menagerie, Little Night Music, and on many, many concerts. And so we'll take a piece like that and break it down and put a very different spin on it, sometimes a different time period, sometimes not, sometimes just a lot less clothing, whatever works. I'm well known by some of the people I work with that yes, well, she likes it when it's less clothing, she does our costumes, so once we grew a little bit too big for the barn, we started looking for different alternative spaces, and we've been to several different churches in the area, and this year we happened upon the Deacon John Brave House. It's a 333-year-old house, and it's really quite amazing, and maybe at the end of the meeting, if some of you want to tour the rest of the house, I'd be happy to give it to you. And we decided that it would be interesting to perform on this property. So during the summer, we did the musical company under a tent out next to the barn, and it was really quite fun and very successful. And while I was setting up an exhibit inside the house for company, I looked around and I thought, we had already planned the Turn of the Screw, but outside, I thought, this is a set for the Turn of the Screw. It's small, but we got 40 chairs in here, they go around, and all of the action happens in the center. And sonically, and then halfway through, sonically, it's a little intense, which we love. It's all, none of it is amplified, and it's true professional level theater, professionals, both from the state and outside of the state. We also have a young artist program that we're very proud of that's come a long way. Young artists from the state come and join us, and they have understudy roles. and chorus roles and small roles. And last year we did our first full young artist production of Godspell, which people loved, and I was so proud to see there are so many really burgeoning young artists, vocal artists and actors who don't really have the opportunities to perform full roles and get an opportunity in a professional setting. We have kind of a whole corral of wonderful artists, and we're planning another young artist production this coming spring. The nice thing about it is we only allow 40 people in here. We really want it that way. We want to stay small. I love the intimacy of being this close to someone and we're singing. They're not always as excited, but I'm very excited. And so that's kind of our mission, is to bring professional level theater in several genres in an immersive environment. We are hoping to end up in our barn again. We're working diligently through lots of legal situations, and we're hoping, because it's a very magical experience in the barn, and everyone, all of our subscribers, which is how we developed, was through just word of mouth, because when we were in the barn, we could not publicize. It was only word of mouth. So we're still fairly new in terms of people knowing about us. So many people said, "You've been here 7 years, I didn't even know it." I go, "Well, that's because that person didn't speak to you, or you weren't on the email list." Well, now we're out, we're open and affirming, and we have a website, madisonlyricstage.org, and more people are coming to us. And we still, I mean, not everything is as small as we're doing. It's usually about 70, 80 people a night, but we really try and keep things quite small and intimate.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's so great to have you all here.
This is Martin Nadell, representing the Robbie Callamore concert series, correct? Thank you for doing that.
Well, we're very happy to be here, and we're part of the Chester Historical Society, which started 50 years ago. And a few years after they started, one of the founding board members, Robbie Callamore, said we should have a cultural series in Chester. And so we started in 1975 with the Singing Editors. The following year, the Community Opera of New York, and we eventually morphed into a cultural series which was multidimensional. We had Gilbert and Sullivan, we had Sandman Sims, the greatest soft shoe tap dancer, probably of the century. But eventually we ended up doing 4 classical music concerts. And then, probably 15, 20 years ago, some of our board members said, you know, there are a lot of people in Chester that really aren't tuned into classical music, and we should try and reach out, since this is a community music series. So we changed to have 2 classical and 2 non-classical. And I prefer to think of our non-classical as classical non-classical. Well, when you have people like Bill Charlap, George Cables, I think we're looking at the highest level of, quote, non-classical. And I think what we've got people to realize is that there's not non-classical or classical, there's great music of different genres, and that's what we try to do. And what we found in presenting a mixed program, and I'm primarily interested in classical music, and I was against doing it, but I have to say it's been very successful, and I've had a lot of people come up to me. People buy subscriptions, and they've said, you know, I have a subscription, and I came to the concert, and I love classical music, but you know, I found out that your non-classical performers are great musicians, and it's great. And so I've learned. And we've also had people in the community who really had no interest in classical music, and they've wandered in by mistake, and they are saying, you know, that was fun, I'll come again. So we've had fun doing this, and we look forward to seeing some of you at our concerts, and we appreciate everything the Arts Alliance is doing, because without Anne, we'd have a difficult time this year, and we owe her to you.
Thank you very much. Excellent, fantastic. So today is a special day because we have Connecticut Office of the Arts folks here today. And I mean, we're so thrilled you're here. We've been all talking about it. So it's your opportunity now to hear more. So Liz, do you want to come on up?
I'm actually going to turn this over to my colleague Bonnie Koba, but I wanted to make sure that all of you could see me, and also to know that one of the things that the Connecticut Office of the Arts has been working on really hard lately is actually getting out into the community and listening to what our constituents want to tell us. So that's why we're here today. We're here to collect your comments, but we're also here probably a little bit to share. Have any of you read our strategic plan? It's like 2 or 3 years. Raise that hand really high. Yay! Okay, so one of the things I would say is people who tend to be more successful getting grants from our office probably have read our strategic plan, right? I mean, because kind of that's what we want to do, and so because we want to do it, we are really interested in making sure that you know that that's what we're interested in, because of course we want to support those kinds of initiatives. So that's one of the things I would throw out there today. If you need a copy of it, we're available digitally, and we may have still a couple of copies in hard copy left, but we are going to get that reprinted. It's incredibly important to us. It outlines our READY initiative, READI, relevance, equity, access, diversity, and inclusion. I can usually do it right off the bat. 1 cup of coffee. And these are things that are incredibly important to us in the efforts that we're making moving forward. So I'm here. If you have questions for me, as I mentioned before, I'm out all over the state because my job takes me all over the state. I have that great pleasure. But I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie Koba to sort of lead a facilitated discussion. So hopefully get your thinking caps on. Tell us what you want us to hear.
So good morning, everybody. I'm actually not going to lead this myself. I have my other colleagues here, Tamara, Adrian, and Jane as well. You guys want to come up and just respond to some of the things? I have a couple thoughts about some of the things that I heard. First of all, there is in Connecticut a Connecticut Arts Alliance. I don't know whether you are aware of that organization or not. They meet monthly. They created this year for the first time ever something called Create the Vote, and they brought all of our gubernatorial candidates together in New Haven, focused on topics related to the arts and arts funding and arts practices and programs. And so if you do not know about that organization, it's one that you might want to get in touch with. So in order to support the Office of the Arts, that's one of their very strong threads. So that's how you can do that. Thanks for asking, Noah. So that's one thing I just wanted to respond to. And then the other thing really is get involved however you can. It is really phenomenal that Eric does this, that you folks all do this monthly and have the opportunity to connect and relate with one another and network. And there are so many connections. One of the things that we see from a state perspective, when applications come in, we look back and say, okay, how many symphonies are there in the state of Connecticut, and how can they maybe work together in some way? How many choruses? How many small companies? And believing that there is strength in numbers, but there also is strength in individuality. So how does that where does the tongue and groove fit for those two concepts? And so by coming and talking with folks about what it is you do and getting an idea of how we can help really helps us to go back. And I'll be very honest with you, when we do our staff planning, we sit back and say, yeah, but remember when we were in Norwalk and they were talking about X? Maybe we can, that was a really cool program, maybe we can highlight that in some way. So we really do take back what we hear in these sessions and bring them back to our office. So there's that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of the licensure, that's not an area that we get into, quite frankly. But you do have a representative here from your district, the right person to connect with on
Been there,
that.
done that.
And he's right behind.
So that's something that we can sort of be connectors, but that's not an area that we have gotten into, unless you have some other response to that, Tamara.
Well, not specifically on just, whether or not we can go down that road, but I did want to just kind of share a little bit of information. It's great to hear about the musical therapy and some of the work you're doing. We're really working to ramp up our work, assisting with the way arts play into the role of working with individuals with disabilities. So later on this fall, I will be convening a small roundtable to begin some conversations. So maybe, so whether or not we want to tap and pull you guys into that. The roundtable will help us to inform some future professional development offerings that we will be doing in the spring. We are also in the process of rolling out a grant program that's going to specifically help arts organizations with funding for small opportunities, but whether it's for bringing in a sign language interpreter into a production, closed captioning, and other types of resources, because we know that that is a struggle for many of our arts organizations, but also in the way of helping to employ people with disabilities and artists with disabilities. So you'll start seeing some more of these programs and conversations begin rolling out the door through our office.
And then another thing that came to mind as you were talking, actually, it was when you were speaking about classical to non-classical, and then Liz jumped in with our READY initiative. And so all of the programming from our office really is focused on that READY initiative: relevance, equity, access, diversity, and inclusion. And I think if we were to go around this room and ask each of you to write, just pick one of those and define it, and then share those definitions, anybody who picked relevance we'd have 8 different responses to that. Diversity, we'd have at least a dozen different responses to that. Inclusion, same thing. And so we've worked very hard collaboratively as a staff to really define what it is we believe when we talk about these. And I think we're seeing that through the READY grant, which Adrienne manages and does a phenomenal job at, but also some of the other program that Adrienne has been doing in addition to the REGI grant. Do you want to talk a little bit about your work in terms of Artist Workforce Initiative and bringing young artists together and the music industry and all of that? I mean, there's so many music people in this room that I just kept thinking about you the whole time and waiting. She'll show up soon.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I live in Norwich now, but I'm used to living in New London, so I have to time myself correctly, and so it took an extra 15 minutes, so I apologize. Yeah, so I love our READY initiative because it allows us to really think about how we can reach out to all types of groups and be very inclusive, not just of marginalized communities, but of all communities. But the work that I do really does center around marginalized groups. In particular, I do a lot of work for young urban professionals. What I was seeing when I first came to the office, I've only been in the office for 2 years. When I first came into the office, I didn't see any programs that I felt reflected that community at all. And I felt like, okay, well, we're supposed to be the state, so we're responsible for making sure we serve, all people. And not just young urban professionals, but also I come from a music background, as Bonnie said. So I was like, well, what are we doing for musicians and for performing artists? So out of that, I was able to create some programs that I'm really proud that our office is doing. So we have our Arts Workforce Initiative program, which is actually a grant program where we would, let me back up, sorry. So hosting organizations can apply to receive an intern, and then interns who are interested in a paid internship can apply. And so what we do is we begin to match them. So we are able to then employ young people in jobs, arts jobs across the state that get paid at $15 an hour for 25 hours a week in a 10-week program.
For a
summer internship program, which I'm actually hoping to expand that throughout the years. I would like to see it not just be in the summer, but maybe even in the fall, because we're seeing that the need doesn't stop, right? But the program is really instrumental, and honestly, as I've been doing the research around it, I haven't seen anything like it. And so that's awesome. We so far The first year we did 12 young people. We were able to place them in arts organizations. And it's not just any type of arts organization or cultural organization. It's really based on what they're saying that they want in their application. They're very specific about, hey, I'm trying to achieve in media arts, or I'm trying to, you know, go into musical theater, or maybe I just want to be an arts administrator, but I really don't know much about it. But how do I get into this field? How do I break into it? Because I'm not seeing anything that's serving me as a young person in that field. So we're able to break down those barriers. And then on the flip side, we have arts organizations who are like, where do we find the millennials? We want to activate our social media page. We want to make sure we're engaging younger audiences and younger communities. How do we do that? And so this has been a bridge that's been able to really create that connecting tissue for these two groups. So this is in its second year. This past year we put 29 people, 29 interns in arts organizations. And every year it continues to grow. So if you have a need for a young intern, please apply for that program. It is very helpful. And actually, not just a young intern, we opened it up this past year to veterans as well. We didn't see too many applications for that, but we got about 5 applications for veterans who are looking to get into the arts. And then some other programs that we did, Make Music Day is a global celebration across the world. It's actually the world's largest annual outdoor festival that we were able to debut here in Connecticut. We had over 250 arts activities happening on that day for the inception of us doing it. So that was pretty incredible. And what's wonderful about it is it's free. Everything for Make Music Day is free. It really costs nothing. Even if you wanted to be an administrator in the area and set up your own kind of festival or event, it's free for you. Well, you do your website, it's like $300. Besides that, everything else is minimal cost to host an event or a venue and bring artists on. But the artists themselves, they participate, and everything is no money, free to the community. It's really, I feel, reflection of right? Relevance, we keep saying it, relevance, equity, access, diversity, and inclusion. You can't get more inclusive than that event. So if you want more information about that, I can tell you about that later. And then, so I do a lot of work, again, with young urban professionals. So I've kind of taken this READY initiative that my colleagues created. I wasn't here, but I was able to take it and kind of make it my own and say, what does this mean? What else can we do? And how can we create programs that really reflect this? And so I have the READY Music Conference, which really was so when you think about arts, I think about different sectors, right? Entertainment is a sector of arts. And what I find is arts administration seems to be in its own kind of, this is arts administration, and this is entertainment, and nothing is being connected to the two. And that's a problem because young people, a lot of the young people I know who are trying to build a career in the arts, they want to be in the entertainment industry, which is still arts. So I was thinking, well, how can we serve them? What can we do for professional development? And long story short, we ended up creating a music conference that was able to bring some very special guest speakers and forums and workshops so that they can talk about what are the different tactics you need to know and strategies you need to know in order to create a career in arts and entertainment. So that's just, we're just getting started. I could talk all day about this, but I'm very excited, and I'm glad to work in the Office of the Arts with my colleagues who thoroughly support me and my work, and I support them as well. So, thank you.
Thanks, Adrienne. I agree. Yeah, we're very fortunate to have Adrienne as part of our office. She has a connection and a link that we have been missing. As many of you may feel that you are missing as well. And so how do we make that connection? How do we make that transition? And we're really focused on doing that in our office. So the things that Adrienne has talked about, those have been really specific. Most of those are brand new to our office, and we're fortunate to have them. Some of the other things that we're doing is we have been, if you've been with us for a long time, you know that every time we've had a new administrator, except for Liz, she's been really good at, saying, I support what it is you're doing. And every time we come up with a new idea, she says, wait a minute, what are you going to give up if you're going to bring that on? Which is just so incredibly helpful to us. But other than that, every time we've had a director, we've had a slight shift in focus and a new direction to go, or a new path in a certain direction. And so, we had the creative placemaking a while back. We had more standard state arts agency work prior to that. We got into all of this partnership, you know, really requiring partnerships to happen in the field. That was somewhat successful in some ways and not so successful in others. What we know about partnership is they cannot be forced. But when they do come together organically, they can have incredible benefits for everybody in that partnership. And then the READY initiative came along. And so what we do is we look at all of our program within that lens. So you'll see that there have been changes to our grant processes. So the idea of the project grants that Tamara manages, and even the fellowship programs that Tamara manages, have a slightly different bent to them in terms of what the requirements and what the selection criteria are. Same thing with my education programming. Same thing when we're looking at bringing on teaching artists. I mean, all of those things, we're really looking at what are we talking about? What does this mean in terms of relevance, equity, access, diversity, and inclusion? And so you can bet that when you apply to us for any grant, that's something that we're really looking very closely at. We have a small special grant with Shoreline Arts Council this year where we're going to be focusing on READY. And so we will be conducting one session here in this region. These sessions are all invited folks because we want to make sure that we have a really strong, diverse group of discussions. But it's based on the Roundtable Discussion Forum that the National Endowment for the Arts promoted 2 years ago? Was it 2 years ago, I believe? And we had just really great success picking specific themes related to READY. And Adrian actually managed workforce and tell me some of the other ones.
To the roundtable?
Yeah.
Oh, we
There
did
was workforce, veterans,
cultural diversity.
Culture and diversity around the state. Excuse me. So this year, Tamara's doing some on accessibility. I'm doing some on education and on READY, and Adrian is working on workforce.
And I'll also be working on arts and economic impact.
Economic impact, which is in southeastern Connecticut in our partnership. Do you want to talk more about any of that?
Otherwise, I want to jump back into fellowship.
Okay.
At some point.
I knew you were going to want to go there.
Well, it's because there's a lot of changes that happened with that program, and I do want to make sure that I share a little bit. But
Yeah, come on the light.
Find your light, find your light.
Find my light. Okay, so again, part of making this shift with the READY, it's we're looking to make sure all of our programs are inclusive, and one of the big changes that was made to our Artist Fellowship program, which provides, how we have operating support for arts organizations. Well, this is in a sense operating support for artists. However, it is probably our most competitive program out of all of the programs we administer. I would say, we tap out of funding at about 12%, maybe 14% of the applicants that apply. So it is a very competitive program, but it also means that the recipients are quite prestigious, and I'm pointing out here to Noah, who is among one of our higher ranking, even fellowship recipients in that mix. The program we've had this as a staple program over the years. The value of the awards have fluctuated from year to year. Currently what we award is $5,000 or $3,000, and that goes out to our recipients. Well, this year, or last year, what was new is we included a $1,000 Emerging Recognition Award. But what I wanted to stress about this program is what artists have known in the past is that you have to apply to a specific discipline. So you need to apply to painting or choreography or playwriting. And that is what we've completely changed. Because over the years, what we've found is artists don't stay in the lines. We already know that artists do not like boxes. We do not like coloring books. I'm a visual artist myself. We certainly like to break the rules and shake it up and make changes. So it was incredibly important to us to have a program that's reflective of the way artists work, which is generally very messy. Therefore, what I ask artists to do in the application process is any year you can come in with an application You just have to check a few boxes to kind of give us a sense of where you are with the work that you do. And then what I do on the back end is I make sure that I'm grouping you into the most appropriate peer review process. So I wanted to show that not only are we asking you to think about ready, but also when we're designing our work, we're considering ready as well. Yes?
I actually have a question. I think that's really interesting about the emerging artists. So do you request that artists apply as an emerging person, or is there a blanket process where the reviewers might say, this person seems like they're emerging, we could consider giving them a smaller...
It's a little bit of both. I mean, we don't have a checkbox for an individual to say, I'm an emerging artist, but many artists might specify that in their narrative when they're submitting their application. Some of them have actually specified that in their narrative, and the reviewer said, no, this person is actually, already on par and is doing exceptional work, and they've simply awarded the higher grant to that individual. But what happens is the reviewers will make notation if they feel that somebody is appropriate for the emerging artist recognition. One of the things I also allow the emerging artists, they can come back and apply the following year. So maybe they get they receive that award. It gives them that recognition and that push, and usually it does help them to propel and move forward. However, fellowship recipients at the higher levels do have to sit a few years out. We try to make sure that the program it has new people coming in, and so that is one of those programs that you receive your award, you kind of take it in, soak it in, enjoy the highlight that it brings you, the monetary funds. But mostly what I've heard from artists is the funding is great and all, but the prestige of the award is what really propels them forward.
Could you elaborate a little bit on arts and disabilities? The Shoreline Arts Alliance, of which I'm a board member, is looking to go into that area among other things. And our state senator for this area has been Ted Kennedy, and he's very into disabilities. He's just become chairman of the National Association of Disabilities, actually. So you mentioned disabilities in the arts.
Right.
Elaborate a little bit on what the connection is as you see it.
Okay. Well, this is part of our charge from the National Endowment for the Arts, is for all state agencies to have on staff an accessibility coordinator. I stepped into that role a little over a year ago and have really been soaking it up. I actually went to 2 conferences recently with the focus on arts and disabilities that's organized by the Kennedy Center, and it's the next conference for any of you who are passionate about this work is in Denver. My hope is that we can maybe help provide some scholarships to be able to send some people there. What the work within the arts and disabilities, from the standpoint of the National Endowment for the Arts, there are federal laws, and arts organizations are required, as restaurants and all public, all businesses are required to make facilities and make their venues accessible to people with disabilities. We also know that there are many struggles to be able to offer up programming that is fully accessible to individuals with disabilities. So our goal in kind of the shift in how we're going to be operating some of our programs is to be able to provide more support, both within the grants, but also within professional development. So everything from making our theater performances more inclusive for those who have visual impairments, hearing impairments, because the idea is typically when a family goes out to experience the theater, they want to bring the entire family. They don't want to leave an individual behind at home. And so I know from my own struggles, I have a boy who has sensory issues, and theater productions has been a challenge. We would sometimes go and then leave at intermission because it was just, everything was too overwhelming for him. And so it's about making sure that our experiences can be accommodating to the various needs.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I have a question. Grants for instance, we've started an adaptive dance program.
Oh.
Yeah, are there any grants available for that sort of thing?
Well, there's, again, you can come in with a project grant request, because our project grant programs, as well as the Reggie program, can be, you dream it, you document, you talk about what it is you plan to do, and both of these programs are quite inclusive in nature in what you can throw out there. The review criteria with the different programs happen to be our READY framework, artistic excellence, and just simply whether or not you can carry out the plan. With the Reggie program, there's the additional community involvement criteria that's embedded into that particular program. So really, it truly is one of those, our project grant programs are you dream it, make it grandiose and interesting, and doesn't even, when I say grandiose, it doesn't even have to be a big production, but just something that's powerful, that has impact. And so accessibility type of work certainly can come into the grant programs, the project grant programs, but I'm also specifically creating a program that will be much more direct in making it possible for an arts organization to hire somebody who can do open captioning, live during the performance, and potentially open up the opportunity to create a sensory-friendly performance. So it might, and I know that there's some arts organizations in the Shoreline area that have been doing those sensory-friendly performances. It's also, when you go into a museum or a gallery space, providing your descriptions for the artwork in such a way that somebody who has low vision or an individual who's blind could still experience the work through an audio description. Many museums will provide audio descriptions, but they don't provide it in the context of somebody who has low vision. They provide it in the context of a history lesson. You're learning about the work, but you're not able to actually receive an audio description that tells you what you're seeing. And so those are some of the other offerings that we would like to see. Our office provide some assistance in providing audio descriptive help, and also even website improvements, ensuring that there's an opportunity to create websites that have screen reader friendly technology behind them.
Okay, so Eric tells me we have about 2 minutes left. Any other questions or anything? Any comments, suggestions? I'm always a little cautious about suggestions. I've been doing this a while. No.
You can totally take the fifth on this, but as you talk about these great programs you're developing, to what extent should we be concerned about how they will be carried forth if there is a shift in broader administration?
So there's the Connecticut Arts Alliance. Seriously, we really don't know. We never know what's coming next. What we can tell you is that we have been very fortunate that every director, regardless of their, their personal desire, the way that they wanted to lead us, has looked at the work that we've done and looked at the how that translates to citizens of Connecticut, and they have been mostly happy with that. So on our end, the challenge is not that they would take away, but they would add to. And this is pretty much us. We got Jane and we have two other folks that are not here.
Add to in the sense of give you more demands without commensurate staffing to pull it off, or funds.
And no additional funding, because the funding is decided by the legislature. I can tell you that the Connecticut Arts Alliance is now reaching out to legislators as well as legislative candidates, as well as the gubernatorial candidates. And one of their focuses is to support the Office of the Arts as it is in the programming that we're doing and being able to carry that forward. But there's always a bit of a shift, and I think at the end of the day, it is arts, right? And it's the constituents, and it's the state of Connecticut, and the citizens of Connecticut. And we follow the guidelines of the National Endowment for the Arts, and they are a big funder. They provide about a third of our funding. And so in order to keep that funding, the state also needs to stay in line with those guidelines.
Thank you so much.
Strength in numbers, right?
So she spoke about the Connecticut Arts Alliance several times. I'm on the board and I'm actually on the membership committee. So if you're interested, let me know. It's a great, it has a lot. I mean, I try to go and, you know, be your voice, but it's great if we have lots of voices at the table. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you.
Yeah,
You know,
thank
for
you.
inviting us
Thank
today
you.
and allowing us to come and talk.
Well, thank you all. This is the first time we're 7 minutes over. I'm so sorry. I usually stop right on time, but this was such an energetic day. So thank you all so very much. I think there's still some nibbles.
Please.
Right? Please connect. I think CAA was mentioned several times again. I want to make sure that we all, if you're interested, talk to me, or at least find out about what's going on with those meetings through Emily's e-blast, etc. Please take advantage of Emily. I do every day. There's a movement. So let's see, how do I start over?
I'd move on quick.
So we have Spotlight on the Arts, video programming for all of you that we have GCTV do for us. If you haven't been on that show, please connect with Emily. Carly Callahan does a great job of interviewing and getting you out there. Please make sure that you connect with us about that. Don't forget, our website requires you to go in and put your events in there. We want all the events in there all the time. Don't ever hesitate. As soon as you put it in, it goes into an email that then gets blasts out every week for you for events. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. If you have any questions, Emily's got a great little tutorial video that you can watch to do it, but it's simple. I can do it. So if anybody needs it, I can. So, all right, thank you all. Thank you again so much.